Okay, so welcome po sa second part, which is the discussion of the different account titles used in recording business transactions. So, uh, the first one is the assets. So, ano pala yung composition ng assets? So, assets may be classified into two: current assets and non-current assets. So for revised PAS number 1, which is the standard or the Philippine Accounting Standards number 1, the entity shall classify assets as current when. So ito yung requirement to be considered as current assets. So it is expected to be realized the assets or intended or intends to sell or consume in its normal operating cycle. So usually, the normal operating cycle is 12 months or 1 year. So if it is expected to be realized, okay, yung asset, if it's realized, mako-convert into cash, o di kaya mabebenta siya, or magagamit or used for 12 months or 1 year, that is considered as current assets. And syempre, if it holds the asset for the purpose of trading or sa business, and it is expected, yun nga sabi ko kanina, to be realized the assets within 12 months after the reporting period, and the assets is a cash or cash equivalent unless the assets is restricted. So meron siyang intended use from being exchanged or used to settle a liability for at least 12 months or after the reporting period. So these are the classification to be or the characteristics to be considered or to be classified as current asset. So itong pang-apat, so cash and cash equivalents, pero pag restricted siya, pambayad ng liability, okay, or for more than 1 year, or shall we say for less than 1 year pala, it is considered as current assets. Okay. Current assets. So the first one is cash. So cash, this includes coins, currencies, checks, money order, bank deposits, and drafts. So this includes cash or part ng current assets. So all coins, currencies, even check, no? Money orders, and even your bank deposits can be considered as cash. Then pag cash equivalent naman, this includes or account used for short-term, highly liquid investments. So this is an investment, okay, that are readily convertible into known amount of cash. So usually pag sinabi natin mako-convert sa into cash investment that can be converted into cash, that is within 3 months. So meron 3-month rule that are subject to insignificant risk of changes in value. So usually, to be considered as cash equivalent, these are investments that are convertible into cash within 3 months. So ang tawag sa kanya is cash equivalents. The next one is notes receivable. So pag sinabi nating notes receivable, these are accounts used, account written pledges from customer that will pay the business at a fixed amount of money at a certain date. So kumbaga, ito yung utang ni customer. So meron kang receivable or collectible to customer or from customer. So receivable siya pero with, okay, meron siyang attached na promissory note. So parang I promise to pay with this amount. So that is considered as notes receivable. And then the next one is accounts receivable. So this is same with notes receivable, pero yung kanina, 'di ba, notes receivable meron siyang evidence by a promissory note. Pero pag accounts receivable, wala siyang evidence na promissory note. So, kumbaga, utang ni customer or these are claims against the customers arising from sale of services or goods on credit. So pag si customer nangutang, ang tawag sa kanya is accounts receivable. Pero pag si customer nagbigay ng promissory note, ang tawag sa kanya is notes receivable. Okay? So see the difference ng accounts receivable at saka notes receivable. Inventories. So these are assets that are held for sale in the ordinary course of business, still in the process of production for sale, or in the forms of materials or supplies to be consumed in the production of goods or rendering service. So kumbaga, inventories, these are assets na ibinebenta in the ordinary course of business. So like for example, sa canteen. So yung mga binebenta doon sa canteen that is considered as inventories. Okay? So, the next one is prepaid expenses. So prepaid expenses, so these are expenses paid for by the business in advance. So advance payment ng business. It may be for the entire year or maybe ilang years ba. Okay? Expenses paid in advance. Ano pa lang example nito? Siyempre, example of this one is yung insurance. So the company will buy insurance premium for the entire year. Siyempre, entire year yung coverage, it is still prepaid. Okay. Prepaid pa siya. So, assets pa siya or asset pa siya ng company kasi hindi pa na-expire. Pero pag na-expire na siya, it is considered as expense. Okay? Expense na siya considered. Next one, non-current assets. So, non-current assets naman, by definition, di ba yung kanina, pag sinabi natin current assets, 1 year. Within 1 year or 1 year. Pag sinabi nating non-current assets, these are assets realizable or used or consumed for more than 1 year. So example of this one, property, plant, and equipment. Siyempre, ang PPE, magagamit mo siya for more than 1 year. Diba? More than 1 year. So the account used for tangible assets that are held by business enterprises for use in supply or production of goods or services, or for rental to others, or for administrative purpose that are to be used for more than one period. So example of this one, yung mga PPE ito, yung nasa picture. So yung car, okay, yung mga computers, or even the building, it is considered as property, plant, and equipment. So, account title na gagamitin is property, plant, and equipment. The next one is accumulated depreciation. So, this is a contra asset account used to accumulate all depreciation charges. So, ano pala yung depreciation? So, this is an allocation of the property, plant, and equipment. Kasi nga, it's because of passage of time or di kaya use. Di ba yung property, yung value niya is nagde-decrease by time or time to time. Okay. Nadi-decrease yung value because of passage of time or di kaya sa paggamit. Okay? So, ang tawag dyan is depreciation. Na-depreciate yung property, plant, and equipment, depende kung ilang years ba magagamit yung property, plant, and equipment. So, yung tawag sa kanya naman for a contra asset is accumulated depreciation. And then, intangible assets naman, so these are assets that has no physical substance. So, but identifiable and non-monetary assets held for use in the production or supply of goods, for rental, and others. So, as you can see, pag sinabi natin intangible assets, wala siyang physical substance. Example of this one is yung mga copyright. Okay. So, copyrights. So, ano pala yung mga copyrights? Copyrights sa book. Okay? So, yung book, meron siyang copyright, protected by copyright law, na dapat hindi siya copy-paste lang from other resources. Another one is yung mga trademark. Or di kaya, yun nga, trademark for uh, patent or shall we say, mga ano ba, mga companies, like for example, for Coca-Cola, yung mga trademark nila, okay? So, bawal gayahin kasi nga, protected sila. So, yung mga Apple, okay? Yung all mga businesses class, meron silang trademark. And that trademark is considered as intangible assets. Okay? So, without physical substance. The next one is the liabilities. The liabilities naman, same with assets, it can be classified into two, current or non-current liabilities. So for revised PS number 1, which is the standard, the entity shall classify liability as current when it is expected, so in this case, to be settled or to be paid in the normal operating cycle. So, ilan ba yung normal operating cycle? Diba? Sabi natin 12 months or 1 year. So, it is considered as current. So, it holds primarily for the purpose of trading and its liability is due to be settled within 12 months. Yung sabi ko kanina. And the entity does not have unconditional right to defer the settlement of the liability for at least 12 months. So wala na siyang right or ability to uh, to continue or to pay that liability for more than one year. Kumbaga, mag-due na lang siya for 12 months. It is considered as current liability. Okay. So current liabilities includes accounts payable. So dito naman, tayo yung utang. So account used for obligation ng company that are lent by accepting goods from suppliers. So utang natin sa supplier, that is considered as accounts payable. Then pag notes payable naman, utang pa rin natin. Pero in this case, tayo yung nag-issue ng promissory note. So tayo yung sumulat ng promissory note. So an account of obligation that are used for amount lent from the debtors in exchange of a promissory note. So same lang sila sa accounts payable, utang natin. Pero ang kaibahan lang is that the notes payable is meron siyang evidence which is in a form of promissory note. The next one is accrued liability. So this account used when there are unpaid expenses incurred by the company. So example of this one, yung mga light and power bill. So meron ka ng obligation to pay pero mababayaran mo lang siya for the next month. Kasi nga yung January na bill, okay, na-incur na siya, unpaid expenses ng company for January, pero malalaman mo lang kung magkano yung bill for sa February pa. So that is considered as accrued liability ng January. Next one, unearned revenue. So unearned revenue, this is an account used in payment is received before providing services. So these are actually advances from customer. So si customer nag-advance for a particular or for payment ng goods or services. So ang tawag sa kanya unearned. Di pa siya earned kasi meron pa kang obligation to deliver or meron ka pang obligation to perform the service. Current portion of long-term debt. So these are portion of yung mga long-term debt, yung mga non-current debt na due na siya within 1 year. So obligations that are payable within 1 year after the reporting period or the balance sheet date. The next one is yung non-current liabilities. So pag sinabi nating non-current, So hindi siya within 1 year or 1 year. So it is more than 1 year. So example of non-current liabilities includes mortgage payable. So pag sinabi natin mortgage payable, this is an account a long-term debt of entity that has a security or pledge na particular asset. So as a security to the creditor. So example of this one, pag nangutang ka and then merong collateral. Collateral, it may be the land title o yung mga ownership ng sasakyan or other ownership ng equipment. So as long as meron siyang collateral, which is more than 1 year siya, it is considered as mortgage payable. Bonds payable, to substantial amount of money from lenders to finance the business organization, acquisition of equipment, and other needed assets. Usually, these are bonds which are under the seal of corporation to pay a sum or amount of money for more than 1 year. So, that is considered as bonds payable. So, malaki-laki itong mga bonds, mga millions, and then payable for more than 1 year. Account titles, and the last one is owner's equity. Owner's equity constitutes capital. So from Latin word capitalis means property. This is the investment account used to record original and additional investment of the owner of the business. So increase by the amount of profit earned during the year or decrease with a loss. So kumbaga, capital, yun nga, is the term used to record initial and subsequent investment ng owner. So pag nag-invest si owner, ang account title nun is capital. Next one, so pag nag-withdraw si owner, siyempre, ang tawag sa kanya is withdrawals or drawing. So when the owner of the business entity withdraws cash, so yung kaya di ba nag-invest? Dito naman nag-withdraw si owner. Owner ha, so, or other assets rather than directly reducing the owner's equity account. Income summary naman, this is a dummy or temporary account used to close income and expenses. Okay? So at the end of the reporting period, this account shows profit in the balance is credit, but if the balance account is debit, then it signifies a loss. So this is just a temporary account to close income o yung mga expense account. Kasi yung income and expense accounts are intended only for 1 year. Kasi pag next year, zero balance na naman. Another year na naman, back to zero na naman. So saan siya i-close? So initially, it is close to income summary. Account titles for income statement. Okay, income statement accounts. So income, it may be service income. So these are revenue earned by performing services for your customer or client. For example, ng mga service income, yung mga medical fees. Okay, medical fees by the doctor. Laundry income by laundry services. Okay. Audit fees naman for CPAs, conducting external audit. So that is service income. Sales naman, this is for merchandising. Kasi nga, this is the revenue earned as a result of selling merchandise. The account titles, another one, is expenses. So pag sinabi natin expenses, it may be cost of sales, which are the cost of goods sold. Okay. And products as incurred from purchase or produce of products during the period, also known as cost of goods sold. So yung mga goods mo that are considered or nahalin na siya, siyempre at cost mo na siya kung magkano yung pagpalit mo sa supermarket ba, sa mall. So at cost pa lang siya, it is considered as cost of sales or also known as cost of goods sold. Okay. So operating expenses naman, salaries and wages, the payment for labor, Okay? And then, utilities naman for payment for telecommunication facilities and even electricity, fuel, and water. Rent expense for the rental, this is not supply, this is rental used by the company pag nag-rent lang si company sa kanyang office, so hindi sa kanya yung building, nag-rent siya, it is considered as rent expense. Hindi ito supply sa, merong correction po. And then, expenses, it may be operating insurance. So insurance, this is the portion of premiums paid in insurance already expired. And then depreciation, yung sabi ko kanina, portion of cost of tangible asset allocated or charged as expense during the accounting period. And then uncollectible accounts, ito yung mga utang ni customer na hindi na mababayaran, o di kaya doubtful as to collection, tingin mo hindi na talaga mako-collect. So it is considered or charged as expense. Ang tawag sa kanya, uncollectible accounts expense. Especially pag nangutang si friend, no? Yung mga word na bayaran ng takaunya. So, pabayaran ng takaunya, expense, considered na siya as thank you. So, uncollectible na yan. Hindi na mo makolekta. And interest expense. So, expense related to the use of borrowed funds. So, pag nangutang ka, pag merong tubo, okay, ang tawag sa kanya is interest expense. And thank you very much. This concludes the part 2 po. And thank you very much once again for listening. Goodbye and God bless.